Thanksgiving, we all know, is a celebration. In 1673, it started, and it all meant was a. I mean, some people call it a Thanksgiving, some people call it a Thanksgiving. But anyway, keeping the good spirit. History is very bleak for Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving का इतिहास काफी गंदा है, because it was meant as a thing for people to actually widespread legalizing killing of Native Americans और एक तरीके का thanks था after taking away their territory by the settlers. In Vanapoik, the real history is mentioned in many places, and the somewhat says that 1637 as the real origin of Thanksgiving by the Massachusetts Bay Colony's governor John Winthrop, and to celebrate these colonial soldiers who had slaughtered hundreds of Pequot men, women, and children in Mystic, Connecticut. So this is the thing, and later on, a good story was made by Abraham Lincoln for the being the initial harvest festival. Anyway, this is what, and 1 decade later in Wampanoag and in English, and what happened in their killing also, that is done. So anyway, there is a lot of white masking being done for this Thanksgiving festival, but nonetheless, people nowadays have forgotten about it, and Thanksgiving is a day to give thanks and offer our gratitude to whosoever we are grateful to. That's what the common culture today looks like in North America. And I really thank everyone. Even though I want it to be a vegan festival where we do not kill any bird, animal, anyone for this event today. That's what I feel. With that, हम लोग शुरू करते हैं. What is the discrimination against why the Hindus in America feel discriminated? And thank you all for joining us. Our topics are pretty much offbeat at Sattology. We try to take up topics which are relevant today. Now, in the if you I've done this show many times, and many things were left out in this kind of shows. So in the अगर हम लोग इसका इतिहास में हम जाते हैं, हिंदू अमेरिका में डिस्क्रिमिनेट क्यों फील करते इतने ज़्यादा? And the reason is, number one, the American textbooks. Second is, Hindus in America, in USA, do not have a national opinion. Or, I mean, not Hindus. I mean, they're not given space in the national opinion. And the third is that the Hindu culture is being disparaged by the other religions, especially Islamic and Muslim and the Christian groups, because they are actually still trying to colonize people by their dogmatic thoughts. So that's why the Hindus feel discriminated, and you can see in the mainstream media and many other places. Like, I'll give you some examples. Uh, the Hindu culture, if somebody wants to know what does Hindu culture stand for, वदन्ति तत्व तत्वविदस् तत्त्वं विज्ञानमद्वयं ब्रह्मेति परमात्मेति भगवान इति शब्दते. In the Hindu culture, uh, you can understand the supreme person through either as Brahma, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. This is the religious side or dharmic side of Hindu culture. To call Hindu culture as Hinduism is not correct. It's a mythology, which means that Christianism, Islamism, Judaism, anywhere you put ism is not correct to describe Hindu culture. Hindu, that's why I use the word Hindu culture, neither I use Hinduness or anything like that. Hindu culture is synonymous with Sanatan Dharma, the oldest religious and cultural system in the world. In the Hindu culture, religion and culture is the same. And privately speaking, it is the fastest growing culture in North America. I have seen thousands of Muslims who were Muslims before, they practice Hindu culture. by chanting mantra, doing yoga, and other things. And I also see millions of Christians also getting attracted towards the openness of Hindu culture, which we see that many Hollywood stars are also practicing Hindu culture in a very beautiful way. And they go to India, they get inspired in Rishikesh, which is the home of yoga or capital of yoga, which they go to Vrindavan and many other parts of India, the temples in south of India, amazing temples, which I showed in one of my documentaries, travelogue series earlier. And also there are many other places where they go. So Sanatan Dharma or Hindu culture is very popular, and that despite being any kind of proactive evangelization, like the Christians do or Islamic people do, there is very little over there. You will not see a Hindu on the streets asking anybody to convert to their faith, because the freedom of choice of faith is enshrined in the soul itself. The soul has all the freedom. It needs to choose its own path. And every soul comes with its own baggage of karma, which is an important aspect. And that karma makes it choose the path they want to go forward. That is the beauty of Sanatan Dharma or the Hindu culture. In the Hindu culture, where people are really scared of, is the amount of freedom it offers. You can choose to go to a temple, or you may not choose to go to a temple. You can create a temple in your own home, and you may not create a temple in your own home. You can worship Bhagwan or Paramatma or Brahma under a tree also. You can do that while walking. You can do that while running. You can be a Hindu at all times. That's the beauty. And that's why I think many people get scared that this culture is so scientific and full of security that you do not, if you don't go to a temple for a week, that doesn't mean that you stop being a Hindu. You're still a Hindu. You can be a Hindu, you can practice Hindu culture or Sanatan Dharma culture wherever you are, whether you're in an office, whether you're in a temple, you're at home, you're traveling anywhere. And that is the beauty. And I think this freedom which scares many of the people who misunderstand Hindu culture and deliberately write articles by politicizing it. Now, words like Hindu nationalism is coined in American universities and extensively commented by Muslims and Christians. Why? Are any Hindus commenting on your faith? No. But why are Christians and Muslims commenting on Hindu faith? Why making fun of yellow curry? By the way, turmeric is an ancient ingredient in Hindu food, in Hindu culture, which creates a tremendous amount of metabolism and also anti-inflammatory uh, in properties for the human body. It sustains human body. Cumin seeds, integral part of Indian culture, Hindu culture. Indian means Hindu. Hindu means Indian, pretty much. And and calling Hindu culture as inferior or making fun of Hindu culture as a yellow curry people, all these things they use, racist comments are being used extensively. And there was an instance of Mexican American calling Hindus to go back to India. And I would like to ask Mexican Americans which language you like to speak. Most of them speak Spanish. And actually, Spanish is the conquistadors language in Mexico, is the language of colonizers. So the original language of Mexico is Nahuatl and many other languages. There are 63 official languages of Mexico. Those are the indigenous languages. And no Mexican American speaks that. Why? And my question to all of them is, why calling Hindus to go back? What is insecurity? Another insecurity about the Hindu culture is Hindu culture has common philosophical and ideological bridge with the native or indigenous population of USA. The indigenous population of USA follows a culture where they regard the world as one family, which is very common with the Hindu culture. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. World is one family. Native Americans regard God as universal and is for everyone, same as Hindus. Native Americans regard that the soul goes to another body, same as Hindus. Native Americans or Native Indigenous Americans of USA, I'm only talking about, they regard that the earth is a place given by God to protect, and that is the belief of Hindus. Many common. The most common food of Native Americans is bean, squash, and corn, which is the most common food. And only rarely during festivities they would kill animals, and that too only for consumption or first a sacrifice to the mother nature. That is very common with the Hindus. Hindus also have follow a very generally strictly vegetarian diet. Again, insecurity for many of these fanatics of the Abrahamic faiths, where they consistently disparage. And I would like to show you instances of American universities continuing or accentuating this in the American colleges and campuses. The the other areas of discomfort and which leads to discrimination against Hindus in USA are the propaganda by many of these Abrahamic groups, by the Muslim groups, by the Christian groups, by calling Hindus as dirty looking people or brown people, or calling Hindus with different names. The curries, there are many names that are being used, and the insecurity comes from the fact that Hindus are indigenous people never converted by Abrahamic forces from Europe or Middle East, and they've retained their culture and faith. And despite being victimized for a long time, they have never maintained victimhood in their own mindset. So they are worried that if even after so much attempts, these guys don't feel victimized, then the insecurity comes in. Is there something wrong in themselves? So they are evaluating whether there is something wrong in themselves. And my answer to them is absolutely yes. Because when you throw a stone at others, three stones are going to come towards you. One is within your soul that you cannot avoid, the doubts. And that's why more and more Muslim kids and other kids who are innocent in many ways, they are turning over to Hindu culture because it is the only culture that promotes peace within. If you are not peaceful within, you cannot be peaceful without. So that is the only culture. And that's where you have yoga, meditation, and tapasya, swadhyaya. Tapasya means voluntarily abstaining, and swadhyaya means engaging in deep study about one's own self. The biggest books of popular books, the most popular books of Hindu culture, which I am the author of many of the books which you can read, is Bhagavad Gita. And my book titles are focused on Ramayana and Mahabharata books. And also there is a book on native history of the world called Glory in God. I have conclusively proved that the Hindu culture, which is also known as Sanatan Dharma, was it was predominant culture of prehistoric times. Whether it's the Celtics or the Vikings or any other race from which the Western world claims to have come from, they were all Hindus in the first place. So the church feels threatened that people may go back to their original culture and faith, and that's happening everywhere in Europe, in USA, and other places of the world. In these places of the world, People are reverting back to the religion of the land. And that is the phenomena which no one can stop, because the soul is always free. Soul is not colonized. You can colonize the body, you can colonize the culture, you can colonize the language, you can colonize everything. You can do propaganda, like over propaganda leads to less propaganda. I mean, people may not understand this concept. Too much propaganda about Christianism values, Islamism values, has led to an inherent attraction towards the Hindu culture, because now more and more Muslims and Christians are trying to explore what it means to be a yogi, what it means to be a happy soul, because this concept is a Hindu concept and aligns very well with the Native American concepts. So it's a religion of the land, is a religion of the soul. And the my earlier videos on culture versus religion and religion versus culture, I've explored very the colonial strategy, that how the culture is usurped by the predominant religion, and how the religion uses culture to acclimatize itself to the local populations, which they have not done in the USA. In the USA, it was a straight conquest, military conquest. And when you ask a settler American or descendant of settler American, what is your home country? Most of them will say Europe, if they came from Europe. Some of them will say Middle East, but Middle Eastern immigration is a recent phenomena in the US. It's not very old. And and they'll say you Middle East. But what about the indigenous population? And most of them also carry passports of two countries. And you'll be very amazed to know most of the Hindus who have immigrated from India, they are Hindus in USA from every single part of the world. Hindus are in USA from many Asian countries, including Vietnam, Cambodia. They were all Hindus. Khmer, their culture is similar to Hindus, and they were Hindus in the past. And from Europe, Eastern Europe, and from southern Mesoamerica, South America, and other parts of the world, not just from India. So the Hindu culture in the USA is varied. Like the Jamaican Hindu in USA will behave in a slightly different way. The basic concepts remain the same, and his worshipable books are still Bhagavad Gita and Ramayana. Ramayana is a historical text, which you can watch my books. If you search Sattology on Amazon, you can see those books and you can read them over there. So there are multiple avenues of discrimination which are being done, racist terms, and the last but not the least, the most racist question asked to Hindus in America is, do you have a caste system? Which is the biggest racist word, and it all begins from there. Brown skin and all these things are secondary, but do you have a caste system? And to answer that question, the word caste is a European word, Portuguese word. And wherever the word belongs to, whichever language it belongs over there. The phenomena belongs over there. So caste is an inherently European problem. It has no connection with Hindus or nor Hindu culture. Caste has no connection with the Hindu culture. Let me put it third time. Caste, the word caste has no connection with the Hindu culture or Hindus in USA. And that's where the Muslims and Christians go wrong. And I'm telling this on a Thanksgiving day. Happy Thanksgiving. So that you all know it's a propaganda by the Christians and Muslims. The Indian word is Varna. Varna means category. Varna means a color. Varna means a categorization or an alphabet. Also means an alphabet. Varnamala. And there are four categories of human beings in the world. One is a business class. One is administrative class. One is uh, a ordinary middle class worker. One is a teacher. These four categories exist in human society everywhere. Any society from Nigeria, from Africa, from Asia, from South America, from USA, from other countries, every country has these four categories of people. Without these four categories of people, society won't work. So that's called Varna. That is not a hereditary system, that's an occupational system, and also based on qualities of people because every occupation requires a different set of qualities. So, how does it Hindu culture discriminate? It is the most scientific culture. Hindu culture talks about cosmology, completely different than Western cosmology. When the Western people were searching for food, Europeans were searching for food, Hindus were documenting mathematics, science, cosmology. And the most accurate version of cosmology is documented in Hindu culture. Hindu culture has the widest number of books on every single aspect of human endeavor, from space travel to medicine, to religion, to instructions, to the if you look at the other scientific medicine, I already covered pharmacy, food, music, art, and other forms of entertainment, including the art of working and the art of enjoyment. All those things are extensively documented. A single piece of Hindu literature in Sanskrit has more information than any other thing the world has ever produced, believe me. And and that is another source of jealousy amongst the non-Hindu. I mean, not all of them, some of them, very few, small minority of so-called propagandists against the Hindus in USA, that they cannot match the history and the background, the educated background which the Hindus maintain. And it cannot go down. I mean, it cannot go, it can only go up. And that's why you'll see Hindus rising in whichever sphere or field in the USA, whether it's a teacher, whether it's a, and now more and more Hindus are coming in law enforcement also. Why? Because it's the most open mind people can hire, who are not dogmatic, who are going to question everything, which is the hallmark of an intelligent brain. So the Hindu culture creates a more scientific, open minded, and happy, intelligent brain. And that's another source of discrimination. Now, let me show you some of the verbiage being used. Now, Hindus don't come from South Asia. Like if you look at the pre 1947 India, then Pakistan, Bangladesh, Burma, Nepal, Afghanistan, parts of Iran, these are all part of India before the British whimsically divided it. But at the same time, we see that the Hindus in all those other countries which are divided have been killed. Genocides have been done against them in Bangladesh, in Pakistan, in Afghanistan, and Iran. Zoroastrians were intrinsically connected to Hindus. In fact, Ahur Mazda is a book which is derived from Hindu cultures in from the Vedas, and it's a little bit distorted version, but it is a version. So that they were whimsically divided, including Thailand, whimsically divided. So this is again a government instituted hateful incidents being carried over in American textbooks. Now, let me show you some of the sites of American universities, which are the source of this discrimination amongst the Hindu population against the Hindus in USA. Now, this is the Department of Hindu Studies of Weinberg College, which is Northwestern University. The Look at the verbiage being used here. The Hindu traditions of pre-modern South Asia, classical periods 500 CE to 100,000 CE, Common Era BC to this thing, and traditions of law and statecraft. Okay, so the pre-modern South Asia. So again, connecting Hinduism, the word itself, Hinduism, and who is the faculty? Mark McLeish, Kevin Buckley. If I read about them, core names, you'll find them to be not a practicing Hindu, not connected to any traditions, and why a non-Hindu is teaching Hindu course. My question is to Northwestern University. Why? Why a non-Hindu teaching who is not connected to Hindu traditions teaching Hindu course? I have offered so many times to Northwestern universities, especially Weinberg College of Arts and Sciences, to teach Hindu culture over there, but no attention over there was because probably I'm not Christian enough to teach over there a Hindu course, or I'm not connected to a church. So another site, I'm going to show you another site. We'll be showing one by one everything. This is a pluralism project, Harvard University. Now, the way does is it gives a kind of a threatening information, like the Hindus are going to take over America. Again, a Christian fear mongering, so that the people in the Christian and the church groups, they wake up. And if I'm mistaken, please do contact me, Harvard University, and let me correct that again. A pluralism organization. Okay. See, the rush of gurus. Look at the titles here. The rush of gurus, the new Hindu immigrants, the temple builders, Yogananda and American yoga. Believe me, there is no such thing as American yoga. Yoga is yoga of Patanjali, cannot be of American, cannot be any other. It's Patanjali's yoga, and its origins are in Bharat or India, and and those things, trade and transcendentalism. Everything is designed to give more information to the haters against Hindu culture to attack, and that's why you'll see many of the Hindu temples being attacked. I must commend the American police. They do a good job in protecting Hindus from these racist cultural attacks and physical attacks. Cultural attacks are being done by the campuses like this. Let me show another site. Because we all need to know that how the game plan works. This is Hindus in American textbooks. This is again by the Harvard Divinity School. And believe me, before 1965 or in 1930s, when America was still a colony, America has been a colony of the British for a long time. And even today, it looks like that, works like that. The Hindus were banned to come here because the British were looting India, and the kind of resistance they faced in India, they did not want Hindus to come and resist them here also. And that's the reason Hindus were not welcome in the white USA. By the way, the Native Americans don't have the white color. They were looking like brown people. So it was a very racist agenda not to allow Hindus in USA. And now also, Hindus are, even though Hindus are doing good in business on their own, despite all discrimination, they're doing good on their own. It goes credit to Hindus, not to the American system much, because the American system, if it had the say of the church, luckily it is not connected controlled by the church so far, then the Hindus won't be anywhere there, just like in UK. In UK, Hindus cannot go very high. Fortunately now, Rishi Sunak is the Prime Minister of UK, which will make Winston Churchill turn in grave now. And Winston Churchill is not a hero of most of the Hindus because the Hindu ancestors were killed by him mercilessly while using the Hindu troops in the British armies. I mean, that is a fact, historical. You can check it out yourself. You have to do a little bit research because the real info is always hidden, but check out the Indian authors. And some Indian Hindus, American Hindus, by the way, there are many American Hindus also now, in millions. Anyone joining the yoga course, going to Rishikesh, coming back, teaching yoga courses are not agnostics. That's the conspiracy of the Pew Research to call them agnostic. They're not agnostic. They are Hindu because they go to the yoga, and yoga is Hindu. Yoga comes from the Hindu culture. The word yoga means reuniting with Paramatma, comes from the Hindu culture. And those are all the yogis. All these articles are alarmist in nature, and they actually work towards creating more fanaticism and discrimination against Hindus. Go to church sermons. I mean, not all the churches are like that. I will put a caveat over there. But many of the churches preach regularly hatred against the blue god. They refer to Krishna as the blue god. They do that. You have to listen to their, I've heard many times, so I can tell you my own personal experiences. And Jehovah's Witness is one of them, groups who have regularly knocked on my doors for years, claiming, and some of them were very rude in many ways, claiming to be anti blue god. What if the god happened to be Krishna in any way? So my question to them is, many such instances are there. Let me show you another college. And this show is in English so that more people can understand. Google Earth, classical example. If you search Hindu temples in USA, shows up only 4 temples. Only 4 temples. Why? Maybe technical fault of those temples or other temples, but only 4 temples show up. And there are more than 1,000 Hindu temples in the USA. More than 1,000 temples, Hindu temples in USA. 1,000. And they don't show up. In Google search, they might show up, but not in Google Earth. Maybe the Google Earth has to do some merging of databases to get those coordinates also. And if I search on native sites in USA, native temples, it will only show up the archaeological sites because native culture has been put into archaeology. Now the religion has become the culture, and the Native American culture, which is the real American culture, has vanished. Now, coming back to another site, which will be really like, is the political candidate, Vivek Ramaswamy. Now, the Vivek Ramaswamy's religion has been a debate in itself. In fact, he had to come, and it shows the deep discrimination. And Vivek Ramaswamy, I will thank Vivek Ramaswamy for bringing this deep discrimination out in the open. Most of the fanatic church members, including the MAGA crowd, so-called nationalists, make America great again. America is great because of the plurality of religions and the freedom of faith. That's why it is great. Let me answer to the MAGA crowd. America is great because of freedom of religion it offers. And the moment you question a presidential candidate of his religion more than his policies, you are actually destroying the very idea of USA. People don't come to, if USA was a Christian country, and you had said we are a Christian country, or the Constitution in USA did not promise freedom of religion, then USA will be poor like any other South American country. It's guaranteed. Try it now. MAGA crowd, you can declare, and And MAGA crowd should also know that the Yale University was built on Indian money. Many of universities in USA, which you call themselves Ivy League, were built on the loot from India. And that's why the British banned Indians from coming here. This is history for you. You may not learn in your American history books because American history books are just a propaganda. A lot of the propaganda. And I can check it now. Like based on what they write about Hindu culture, I can see that the entire thing is propaganda. If this is propaganda, then rest everything else also is propaganda, including Native Americans are barbarians. This is what you learn is a propaganda. So MAGA crowd opposing Vivek Ramaswamy on his religion, this is the height of discrimination against Hindu culture, against Hindus in USA. I never thought that America will do that, and that to Republican Party. And Democrats are not far behind. Democrats are behind every single anti-Hindu program run in the political establishment of USA. Every single, including Justice for Democrats, their congressmen, Ilan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, and so many of them, avowedly anti-Hindu. What they do is they 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 cloud their Hindu hatred in the name of, say, political Hindu or Hindutva. Hindutva and Hindu doesn't has no difference. It's the same thing. Hindi word is same thing. But that's the hatred being spread in Democrat Party. And I was ashamed that the Republican Party also doing the same thing. So they both are destroying the very idea of USA. And now the settler colonialism started by the universities, it's a real slap in the face because it will bring settler colonialism of the British colonialists and European colonists which colonized USA also in the fore. Right now they're only talking about Arabic, what happening in Israel, Palestine, but it's going to bring them also in this area also. So I'll take some questions here. And by the way, our viewers are very smart. So Hindi is the third most spoken language, but this show was in English for the American audience and for people who understand English. I will do a separate show on Hindi. Hindi is the third largest spoken language. And in USA, there are more than 1 million Hindi speakers. And so Hindi should be used as one of the national languages in USA. A time has come on this Thanksgiving to make Hindi language as one of the national languages in USA, other than Spanish and English and Chinese also, Mandarin also. So I'll take some questions here. Any other question? If anyone has a question, there's one question comes from don't underestimate. And meanwhile, I always forget because we are not very professional in many ways. I always forget that please do like, share, subscribe, help us in Sattology so that we can share more of our messages with everybody. And you can always contact us, join our courses. You can become our member. You can get a book, search Sattology on Amazon, and you can get these courses everywhere. I will take some questions here, and one question I can take is why no acceptance of Hindi Mandarin? Good question. This is again a racist framework in the universities and also in the American Constitution, which needs to be. American Constitution is one of the best constitutions in the world. Let me tell you one thing. American Constitution doesn't discriminate anybody, but it is the interpretation and the church groups which carry on their agenda. That's why you'll not see a Hindu host on Fox News and CNN. The again the Jewish professors. Why would a Jewish professor speak a course on Mahabharata? It should be a Hindu professor. They won't hire Hindu teaching any official courses. They will hire only their version of Hinduism to be taught to the Western people. And that's how they introduce negative fallacies against the Hindu culture. They want to have a Christian minded professor speaking Hindu. Hindu, teaching Hindu courses, of a Catholic priest speaking Hindu. That's what they do. Pawan Tiwari ji, the whole program is for the English audience. So we'll talk in Hindi. We have so many Hindi shows nowadays. We have more Hindi shows than English shows, and we will speak in Hindi in any other show, Pawan Tiwari ji. So thank you all very much for joining, and thank you for all the viewers. I will see you at some other show later on. Till that time, namaste and thank you.